Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a part 2 to my last video, which was about female gaze Kevin from TikTok. Basically, just after I finished that last video, I actually ended up posting it on Friday and then I had to delete it and repost it because the audio was messed up. But right when I was finished making that one, like a day or two later, Kevin posted on his YouTube an actual video, which I guess serves as an apology. I haven't watched it yet. We're gonna react to it today. So I felt like it was only fair to do a part 2 because one of my criticisms in the last video was that Kevin never actually truly addressed everything. I'll just pause it as needed while we watch.
Okay, let's talk about everything. First things first, this video might be a little long. I have a lot to say. First things first, the domestic violence videos from a couple years ago. I want to start off by saying that I don't support domestic violence. Nor do I think it's funny. I was 19 years old at the time. No excuses. But my humor was a bit different than now. For whatever reason, I thought it was funny to reenact a woman getting beat and bleeding on a couple of occasions. As I sit before you, I am a 22-year-old. I'm not proud watching those videos. I think it sucks that I made those videos. I don't think they're witty. I don't think they're funny. There's a reason why you have to go so far down my account to find these type of videos, because my humor has changed, and I do not go to the extents on making jokes, anything similar to those videos. I still make dark humor videos. In fact, that's why I had growth last December, was from the Quiet Kids skits. I think my dark humor has become more tasteful, less appalling, definitely less gruesome. I'm not acting out violence. So yeah, the domestic violence videos, don't support it, don't find it funny. As a matter of fact, I think it's super problematic that at the time I thought it was good enough to post and funny enough to post, because people watch that, young impressionable minds watch that, and that spreads the narrative that it's okay, and that is not okay. So that I take full responsibility for. It was stupid trying to be edgy humor that did not age well.
Pause right there to address that, because he has his video actually broken down by like segments of what he's addressing, which I appreciate. I find it really interesting because he is only 22 for him to say, oh, I was 19 when I did that. Like, that's honestly not that far away. It'd be different if he was like 30 and these jokes happened when he was 15, but like that was only a couple of years ago, and I personally think that we knew better at that time. I am not one of these people who thinks that humor hasn't changed at all, because I know that what was accepted as funny 10 plus years ago, like I was a kid watching YouTube at that time, the humor was different. Like a lot of people, especially I find younger generations, don't want to accept that. I'm 26 myself, so I've seen a lot of it. A lot of younger generations, I know it wasn't different, like that's not true, but as someone who lived through that, it really was different. And that's not me saying the jokes were okay. I don't really feel like they ever were. I never personally made jokes like that myself, even at that age, but I feel like what people accepted as humor, even in like comedy and stuff, was different, and there was less like cancellation, I guess you could call it. That being said, Kevin's not talking about jokes from 10-15 years ago. He's talking about jokes from 3 to 4 years ago maybe. And also, I get what he's saying, that he doesn't make those type of jokes now. They were still on his page. He didn't delete them, which, I mean, I guess maybe he forgot about them, but I kind of find that hard to believe, especially because when this all started getting brought up, he didn't address it right away. But the comments on this video, like I was browsing through them, extremely positive. They're all saying like, thank you so much for coming forward, it's a lot, or like, thanks for saying mistakes happen. But like, it doesn't really feel like a mistake to make multiple videos depicting domestic violence against women and calling it a joke. Saying that those jokes were when he was 19 and now he's 22, it doesn't really feel like a lot of time, and he did still have those videos up, and for a while he was defending it and making similar poor taste jokes on his Twitch and YouTube streams, both against people. So yeah, we'll keep watching. I'm sure he's going to address all of that, at least I hope so, because this is a 51-minute video.
Okay, next. After the DV videos were brought to light, people were bringing up minors in my Discord server. I believe I created the Discord server in December of 2021. I created it with the intention of having supporters of mine all hang out in the same space. It was recently brought to my attention that people in my server, minors in my server, were in the introduction channel talking about, hey, I'm 14 from Illinois, I'm 16 from Wisconsin. I take full responsibility for that. Regardless of my lack of knowledge on the situation or me feeling like the server was moderated enough, clearly that's not the case when there's minors telling people what state they're in. It does give easy access to people of pedophilic nature to message a minor. I have a fair amount of moderators in that Discord server, and they are not perfect. I'm not perfect. Definitely things are going to be slipped. We're going to miss things if someone blurts out something too personal. One of us are going to miss it, and that is wrong because we can put a child in danger. Regarding the future steps for that Discord server, you can now only post in the selfie channel if you're 18+, and you can only speak in the introduction channel if you are 18+. I'm open to hearing if anybody has more recommendations to get a tighter grip on the safety aspect of the Discord server. I'm willing to do anything and everything I can to make sure that it's a safe space. Because at the end of the day, what happens in that server, I am responsible for. Okay.
I didn't really know much about that situation. This is the first I've heard of it, but it's not the first of its kind that I've heard of. I've definitely heard of other creators being called out for similar issues where there's like no safety for minors. And honestly, I personally feel like if you are over 18, your Discord server should probably just be 18+, depending on what type of content you post, I guess. But given the nature of Kevin's content, I don't see any reason why someone who is under 18 would need to be interacting in that at all. Like he said, it doesn't create a safe space at all. And you can actually have settings in your Discord that make it an 18+ only server where people can't join if they're under 18. I don't know the most about that, but I do know you can make it 18+, just like on Twitch you can have your stream set to 18+, where people have to agree that they are to go in there. Yes, people can lie, but at least you've done your due diligence. If people are agreeing to that, that's really the best you can do. So I think you should definitely look into that. But yeah, not too much to say about that because I didn't really know about it to begin with.
Next, I started streaming on YouTube, which has now become my main platform. Now, when I started streaming on YouTube, before my TikTok was completely banned, I would look through the mentions and react to the videos mentioning me, stitching my videos, adding me to the entire YouTube stream. In an attempt to be comical, I made jokes about the people's appearance that were stitching my videos or reacting to them. And there were two women in particular. They were both black women. For the first woman, her lip looked cut and swollen more on one side than the other. And I made a comment about how your beef ain't with me, it's with Mike Tyson, whoever the fuck knocked your lip like that, verbatim. For the second woman, she flared up her nostrils at the camera, and I Google searched a shotgun barrel, implying that her nose, her nostrils looked like similar to a shotgun barrel. There's a video made by a man named Jarvis, in which he was alluding to the idea of me being racist. Following that video, that's when people started to call me racist and deem me as a racist person for these comments. My take on the situation. I think it's completely understandable, the hate that I received for that. I see how it can be looked at as racist. I see that it can be looked at as a microaggression, considering my skin complexion. I was making a joke about people's appearance, and while doing that, pointed out a racial stereotype. Right, like it could have been anything else, but I chose these features, to which I completely acknowledge why that's not okay. Upon receiving this backlash, I reached out to those I know personally that can speak on the situation. Half of them said I can see why people are upset. The other half said people are being overdramatic. For me to find it necessary to educate myself on the topic, all I needed was to hear that some people got upset. I now have a better grasp on why what I said was inappropriate. I'm gonna do what I can do and educate myself more properly, educate those around me more properly if I see somebody make a similar mistake, and work better in improving myself for myself and for everyone who supports me. Now, I think this is a perfect time to bring up that I used to say the N-word when I was younger. My friends and I would say it all the time.
Again, really quick, just to touch on that, because I don't want to let too much go before I react, just because my memory is bad, I'm not gonna remember. This next bit is kind of about the comments he made against people's appearance. He's specifically addressing the 2 black women whose appearances he mocked in his video. I don't feel like I have really any place to like weigh in, but for me, this one, it wasn't an apology. He did not say that he was sorry. He didn't apologize to them, at least not that he's said so far. Now, I don't know if they would want him to go to them to apologize, so I'm not gonna say he has to do that because that's not up to me. But so far, from what I've noticed, he's yet to really apologize. He said, like, I understand how it came off that way. I understand how you saw it that way, which from everything I know, that's usually not how you should apologize. Earlier in the video, he tried to say that his bad jokes and his poor taste, extreme, edgy jokes were from years ago and how he's changed. But that's very evidently not true because those streams were recent, like as recent as this month and last month. And yeah, I mean, I don't feel like you need someone to tell you that maybe you shouldn't make fun of a black woman's nose or another black woman's lips. Like, I feel like it's pretty obvious. He also mentioned the Jarvis video. I did react to in my last video a clip from Jarvis's video of Kevin reacting to the woman who made a video where he compared her nose to a shotgun barrel. That was in my video, Jarvis's video, if that makes sense. I reacted to a reaction of a reaction, basically. I don't know. But anyways, he's saying that Jarvis alluded to racism and now he's being called a racist. But the thing is, that's not Jarvis's fault at all. Like, Jarvis pointed out that you're mocking a black woman's nose, which is a racial stereotype. Unfortunately, Kevin, that is on you. So I don't think it's fair to essentially blame Jarvis saying, I'm being called a racist now because of Jarvis's video. No, Jarvis took your video and what people saw in that is what their opinion is based off of. Had he never made those jokes about 2 black women's appearance, people probably wouldn't be calling him that. He's also about to get into how he used to say the N-word all the time, so I don't know, do with that information what you will. It's interesting to me that it took him this long to apologize or comment on that when in his live stream, when he did that, his chat was literally saying, no, oh my God, Kevin, like you can't say that, you can't do that. And he was saying,
What? What did I do? Chat, you guys can't make up your mind, bro. I don't know what you guys want from me. I didn't do anything fucking wrong.
He was fully defending himself at that point. But you would think as soon as his chat told him that's not okay, because he even just said himself now, if one person says they're upset, that's enough for me to look inward. We'll keep watching.
Punch to the gut, make things worse. But I'm gonna be completely honest. Growing up in New York City, as an Arab, you just think you're entitled to saying it. Everyone around you says it. Nobody bats an eye when you say it. You simply do not understand the severity in the word you're saying. Specifically, the part of New York that I grew up in, there's a lot of whitewashed people. I recognize I'm white. I recognize I have white privilege. But these are the type of people that if you are any ethnicity other than white, you are considered black. Throughout high school and middle school, people would kind of draw a line between me and them, essentially saying I'm not like them and I am not allowed to be accepted in their group. To be clear, this is fully white people. I've been ridiculed. I've been, racial slurs every now and then. Receiving this type of hate from this group made me feel and believe that I was part of the black community. Again, I recognize stupid. I'm fucking white with blue eyes. I'm whiter than you can be. It took me a long time to recognize that ethnicity was different than race. Just because Egypt is in Africa doesn't mean you're black. Now, why I stopped saying the word, it was about 2020. I just started community college. I recognized very quickly that it's not okay. I was very observant to who felt allowed to say it. I was very observant to who deemed that they couldn't say the word. And I knew immediately I was completely on the other side. I could not say the word. And I simply just didn't even know the true history behind the word to even let it go from my mouth. Again, full accountability. Not putting the blame on anything. Not trying to make excuses for anything I've done. Just a little bit of context I think is important always. I no longer say the word, nor do I think anybody close to my skin complexion could. Now, why I brought it up in this video, even though there's no allegations, I think it's really important that you hear from me and nobody else. Another thing that
Again, gonna pause. I'm just gonna pause in between like the sections he made unless they're really long. With that one, obviously not my place to accept or deny that. I did see a TikTok though. I will play it here now.
Here is how a racist gaslights the black community.
I made jokes about the people's appearance that were stitching my videos or reacting to them. And there were 2 women in particular. They were both black women. For the first woman, her lip looked cut and swollen more on one side than the other. And I made a comment about how your beef ain't with me, it's with Mike Tyson, whoever the fuck knocked your lip like that, verbatim. For the second woman, she flared up her nostrils at the camera, and I Google searched a shotgun barrel, implying that her nose, her nostrils looked like, similar to a shotgun barrel. The perfect time to bring up that I used to say the N-word when I was younger. My friends and I would say it all the time. Growing up in New York City, as an Arab, you just think you're entitled to saying it. Everyone around you says it. Nobody bats an eye when you say it. You simply do not understand the severity in the word you're saying. Ridiculed. I've been, racial slurs every now and then. Receiving this type of hate from this group made me feel and believe that I was part of the black community. Again, I recognize stupid. I'm fucking white with blue eyes. I'm whiter than you can be. It took me a long time.
But I do find it interesting. I mean, I guess if he's just addressing everything he's done wrong in his past, it makes sense to address it. But it does kind of feel like he's trying to get ahead of it because probably people have tons of screenshots of him saying that. It's not up for me to decide whether or not that's an acceptable apology. But again, he hasn't said, I'm sorry, so I don't know.
I just remembered was content that I made back in 2020 that was also considered transphobic. Making jokes about trans people is not funny, not okay. Don't condone it. My humor has changed. I have changed. I've grown. Now, before I get into the women coming out, bring up the videos circling around the internet, attempting to gaslight my audience into believing that the person in the domestic violence videos isn't me. I've seen that there's a few claims of an ex-girlfriend. I am a gay man. There was no ex-girlfriend. That did not happen in this timeline. Maybe in a multiverse. I like men. Men. Hold on. Do you not hear it by the music I'm playing? Hold on. But you guys are not realizing these are two completely different people, and you're attacking somebody who did nothing wrong based off of somebody else's action. I completely understand why everybody hates my fucking guts. It looks like I was outed, and I just wanted an easy cop-out, and made people question if that even was me. This video from the live stream was, as I said earlier, in the heat of the cancellation, and I use dark humor, comedy to get through anything, any traumatic event in my life. I, at the time, thought it would be hilarious to say that it wasn't me and make a goof on everybody that has their pitchforks out and want to attack me. You could see in some parts of that clip that I said things like, I'm a perfect human being. I never tripped on an untied shoelace. I never picked up a $20 bill loose if I found it on the ground.
You got the wrong guy, bro. You got the wrong guy. Okay, I've never done anything bad in my life, dude. I've never made a mistake. I've never tripped. I've never walked out of the house with my shoe untied. I've never not brushed my teeth. Maybe that's a lie. But guys, you have to believe me. I've never done anything bad. Ever. I'm a perfect human.
I did things like that to come off obnoxiously obvious that I was being sarcastic about the videos not being me in them. In a time where I'm getting completely fucking dragged online, it was such a stupid idea to make a joke like that because most of the people coming to my page do not know my humor. You've never seen me speak. Of course you're gonna fucking think I'm gaslighting the audience. Well, I fully recognize that was stupid. I fully recognize how that could be, how that could come off as me trying to gaslight you guys. Again, I filmed the video in this same room. The ceiling's blue. There's even a video on my YouTube channel where there's proof of that video being on my phone. It was a poorly
To touch on this, because that was something that I talked about in my last video, how it's very stupid to say that's not me when it's quite literally all like it's him, it's his face, it's his account, blah blah blah. Maybe some people did believe that, I don't know. I think it's pretty clear that most people did not believe him, and I personally don't feel gaslit by it, but it's more so that like whether it was just an edgy joke again or like supposed to be funny or not. The issue for me is that you're getting called out for making videos that you say are not your humor anymore, that you agree are disgusting. Like he said himself that those were years ago and that now he doesn't make those jokes and they're disgusting. But yet when he gets called out for it, he just tries to continue joking saying that's not me, that's not me. And like honestly, if this was a different situation, like if he was getting called out for something really ridiculous, I honestly probably would find that funny because my humor is also stupid and I think that that's a little bit hilarious to be like, oh, that's not me.
Roderick? Can you explain what you're doing in this photo?
That's not me.
That's not you?
Nope.
Okay.
Kevin himself says that he recognizes and has recognized for quite some time now that the videos he used to make with jokes featuring domestic violence against women are not funny and not okay. It's interesting to me that when he's called out for that, he follows it up by joking again and being edgy, as he calls it, and whatever. He thought it would be funny to make a stupid joke like that, and he didn't think anyone would believe it. I really don't think that people believed it. I think their issue with him saying that was that, again, he's just avoiding any accountability. He didn't even apologize, and instead he just tried to turn it into a big troll moment. I didn't feel gaslit personally because I felt like it was just so obvious that there's no way that he believed that anyone would believe that. It just didn't land because it wasn't funny.
Timed goof that was not appropriate and did not land. I specifically wanted to save a portion of this video just for the women coming out, kind of give you a backstory, my take on the situation, and the truth on the situation. Well, from my perspective, of course. Let's start in the order the allegations came out. Taylor, Tepuki. If you want full context on everything that she said, you can watch her video. Me and Taylor first spoke in November of 2021. She was a follower of mine. She would pop up in the live streams. I might have made her a moderator in the live streams. I believe before we ever spoke, I commented on her account and I said, hey Tepuki, make sure you follow my other TikTok account. Now, how we started speaking on an individual level, she added me on Snapchat. My Snapchat was always in my profile. She was easily able to access that and add me. At the time, I think I was just adding everyone back. She proceeded to send me unsolicited nudes. I caught interest enough to give her my phone number, to which I rarely give out my phone number, but I caught enough interest to give her my phone number. We would FaceTime normally, have conversations. I slowly started to notice every time it was nighttime and she would call me or I would call her, she would initiate the conversation to take a sexual turn. Always. There could have been like one time I initiated it or 2 times. Most of the time she would be the one initiating the sexual tension or communicating that she wanted the conversation to take a sexual turn. I had mentioned to her that I had a kink that was more, dark, like not for everybody, definitely. To which she immediately agreed and related to, said, I have the same kink. She went up and down telling me that she was into it, which is how it normally goes. I would tell these women that I enjoy this, and most of the time they would say, I enjoy that too. And if they say, oh, not really into that, that would be the end of the conversation and that would never be brought up again. In this situation, Tepuki made it very clear that she was into said kink as well, and used that to her advantage when it came to speaking to me. I noticed very shortly after we started speaking every day, she would get very irritated if I didn't answer her. It was coming off as very controlling. Here's a screenshot of me texting my friend Alyssa during...
Okay, I'm gonna pause right there just in case for anyone who just listens. I'm just gonna read the screenshot. There's a screenshot within the screenshot of a text conversation, and in that the messages say, did you unadd me? I was kidding. I promise you that if I'm not added back by the time I leave work, you'll wish to God that you would have been a hell of a lot nicer to me. I'm not someone who plays games all day, so maybe think about that next time you decide to pull some shit like that again. I've been so fucking patient with you and have been nice to you. So what you did was, and then cut off, and then he said, I'm guessing this is him, he said, we literally spoke for 1 week. The person replied, bro, that is crazy. He said, bro.
I was speaking to Tepuki. I believe in the screenshot I said it's only been 1 week and she's acting like this. Big red flag right there. As Tepuki and I continue to speak, more or less the same thing would continue to happen. We'd talk, have a normal conversation throughout the day, and things would end up more sexual towards the evening. Now there was one specific night that we hopped on the phone and she immediately propped the phone up, walked somewhere in her room to grab a sharp object. She immediately started a K, kind of near her abdomen or hip area. While she was doing this, she was hysterically laughing, and I didn't know how to react. This is a stranger online. clearly I started to see, oh, okay, this person has mental issues. To hear her say things like, after every FaceTime call I would cry, is very ironic because she would be the one to initiate this sexual tension. She would ask me if I wanted to watch her please herself. And she made it very clear, like, you don't have to do anything, you can just watch. Which was actually brought up in her video. She said that I didn't do anything and I just watched her with this look that I do, which is just my face. I typically don't participate with sexual activities over the phone. So doing something on FaceTime makes me super uncomfortable. It's not for me. If somebody that I'm speaking to romantically wants to do that, essentially put on a show, I have no problem with watching if they feel comfortable. And to be clear again, she would ask me if I wanted to watch this, and she would initiate most of the sexual encounters that we had. Another thing that Tay Pookie said was that I blocked her and didn't say why. Which I'll tell you why. But here's a screenshot of her popping up on my Instagram feed, liking my photos 4 or 5 months later in February, 4 months later. To which in her video, she said that when I blocked her, she was very pleased and thank God I don't ever have to see his face again.
So then he ends up eventually blocking me. And thank God he fucking did, because I can't even stand looking at him. I can't even stand looking at him. I can't even stand looking at him.
Proceed to try to contact me, or at least pop up on my Instagram so that I can notice her 4 months later. Now, why Tay Pookie and I stopped speaking, there was a night in which she called me up drunk. I hate when people drink alcohol around me. I don't like when people are drunk around me. I tell every partner that I'm with that, so that they don't put me in a situation where they're drunk and I'm sober. And that's exactly what she did. Because she called me up drunk, and because of the red flags that I got with the cutting, and because of the red flags that I got with her being controlling and threatening me if I do not speak to her anymore, I decided to stonewall and not give her what she wanted, not pay any mind. I know that the best way to handle something is to not give it any attention. So that's exactly what I do if I notice I'm being put in an abusive situation. I will sit there in silence and try to gather myself. And as I sat there in silence, she threatened to go for a drive, implying that she was going to commit if I do not respond or answer her. Which is very manipulative. And thank God I recorded this conversation. If I have a feeling like I'm speaking to somebody who could potentially twist what actually happened around to make them seem like the victim, I like to gain my proof so that false allegations like this cannot be spread. Here is I don't know whether or not I'm going to play this entire video or if I'm going to cut it up, but here is this video.
Hello? You gonna keep me on mute? Huh? Can you not talk to me? Something wrong. Come on. Come on, you can tell me what's wrong. Come on. What's wrong? Huh? You wanna tell me? What's going on? Okay, now don't share your face. I'm literally so confused right now. All because I drank. Whoop you fucking do. You drink alcohol, you fucking idiot. That was a good one. That was good. I'll give you that. Oh no! He's not showing his face. Whatever will I do?
It got to a point where I had a panic attack over the phone, and he just stared the whole time.
I guess I'll just sit here and stare at his ceiling
He just stared.
until he decides to get over whatever it is that's bothering him and show his actual face and have an actual adult conversation. But until then, I guess I'll just sit here and stare at the wall or the ceiling, whatever. See, the thing is, I would fix whatever's wrong, but you're not giving me any fucking idea how I can fix it. So, until you decide to actually communicate your feelings and maybe tell me just a little bit of what's going on and what is wrong, what I did to piss you off, you're not going to have a solution. So, don't blame me for that. I'm sitting here trying to help you, and you refuse. So, guess I can't do anything about that.
It's wrong, bro. This is wrong. This girl has mental problems. Nothing. I never said anything. I just was like not talking because I was on my phone, and she just started going off talking about like, see, just coming to her own conclusion, saying I'm mad. Like I never said that. I never said I was mad. I never said anything about her drinking. I just told her.
I would really appreciate it if you could show your face, considering it is face time.
That's a good one.
Like, why did you even... You are blowing my mind. Like, why are you... This is bullshit. This is such bullshit. I literally have no idea why you're doing this. No clue.
Snapped her
No
fingers at me.
fucking clue.
She's getting
Beats
blocked.
me.
She's getting blocked, bro.
Because usually, what you would be doing, is actually having conversation, showing videos or talking about anything in general. And yet you're fucking ignoring me?
Bro, I remember when I asked her, when we first met, I was like, why do people break up? Why do you not? Why do you...
Hello? I literally don't understand what your problem is, dude. Like,
I asked her
there's not a lot
why.
of things that I do that piss people off. So I don't know what you could have honestly gotten so upset about. That you are acting like this.
I asked her why her relationships don't last, and her response was her. She said, me, I get too...
What the fuck, dude?
Something.
Fuck it.
Nah, I see why.
Yeah, fuck it. I'm gonna go drive around. I don't fucking care at this point. Go get in my car. I'm gonna go fucking on a drive.
Okay, she's drunk.
I'm gonna drive. I'm not gonna come back. Then fuck it.
She's
My
drunk.
business.
She's drunk, and she's threatening to kill herself.
I know, that's
So, that's cool. She also, by the way, just herself. I know she was just sitting there herself. She's like, this is what you want? What am I supposed to do, bro? That's a very sad tactic to use. That will not work on me.
Okay, I'm gonna pause there just before I let it go too long, because this section is one of the longer sections of his video. So in this case, like, we will never know all of the details. We will never know who did what led to what. When we heard her story, we're only hearing it from her perspective. Now we're only hearing it from his perspective. Now apparently he did share with her that he had a kink that was a bit darker and not for everyone. I would say if he didn't want her to go down that path, which he's making it sound like he didn't, I don't know why he would have brought it up, but I mean, maybe he did want her to initially, and then when things started getting out of hand, he was not into it. She also gave him a chance to consent by asking if he wanted to watch her do things, said that he didn't have to, and so he didn't. So I mean, I agree with that. Like, she did make him sound like a weirdo by saying she would do things and he would just stare. He's saying that, well, that's what he offered and he doesn't feel comfortable doing stuff like that over FaceTime, which is totally fair. Like, people can screenshot, screen record. Like, I get not being comfortable with that. It sounds fair what he's saying so far, though, that she would get mad at him for not answering. Like, that's shown in the text screenshot. The part that's really shocking to me, I would say, is that she was like threatening to go out and drive, which, I mean, obviously she was not in the right headspace, but that still is, like he said, that is very manipulative to say, and it's not fair to put that onto someone else, because if, God forbid, she did go out and do that and was injured or worse, did not make it through that or hurt someone else, the weight of that would also be on Kevin's shoulders a little bit. Not that it is his fault, but a lot of the time there is guilt surrounding that, because he might have felt like, oh, maybe if I just talked to her that wouldn't have happened. and that's not fair to put on anyone at all. I do feel for him with this one, but to be honest, I feel like most people's issue with him wasn't like the interpersonal issues with his relationships, but it was more so like the domestic violence and making jokes on a public platform such as Twitch or YouTube about Black women's appearance, things like that. And to me, that's where the real issue lies. This is more just like interpersonal drama that I don't personally feel has anything to do with me. I kind of have no place to comment on it, but I do feel for him because that definitely is a form of manipulation, and that's also not okay. But yeah, we'll keep listening.
I will not be like,
Keys.
stop.
Right here.
Because if I were to do that, listen, if I were to do that, she would know that it works. I don't want her to. Of course I don't. But she's gonna go drive drunk.
Which way are they?
This is so selfish. I can never relate to this, bro. This is such a disgusting tactic to use for attention. It's so fucking gross, bro. It is so gross. Bro, imagine being near this girl. Imagine being physically near this woman. This is not a woman, this is a girl. Imagine being near her. Bro, what the hell is...
Shit.
Okay, I'm gonna hang up now. Okay? Because I don't want her to do it, okay? I don't want her to do it, and I'm not about to sit here and witness her do it. So as long as I'm on the phone, that gives her reason to continue going. So I'm gonna hang up before she does it.
Because that clip is 10 minutes long, I'm gonna cut it up so that you can just hear the main parts. In that clip, you hear her baby talking to me. You hear her bring up the drinking thing, me being uncomfortable with alcohol, with me being uncomfortable with someone being drunk around me. Upon dealing with this, this isn't the first time somebody has tried to use side as a threat to me to continue speaking to them, which I'll get into next. In that clip, you can hear me say that she was cutting herself and saying, "Is this what you want? Is this what you want?" In an attempt to make me react a certain way or elicit a response from me. It seemed like she was using her knowledge of my kink to benefit her and throw it in my face. Anyway, I called her up the next morning and told her I'm never speaking to you again, and just gave her a heads up that I was blocking her. That's the story with Tepuki up until 4 months later, where she was trying to like my pictures on Instagram.
I should have known that coming out with the story without having physical proof was just going to be a flaw. I should have prepared myself for that, because, you know, that's how it is. A screenshot of a text that just doesn't even describe the whole context of how it even led up to that point, but I don't even have the energy to fight it, honestly. So I guess the whole internet's just gonna have to look at me as an emotional abuser manipulator. And I'm so sorry for the people that have come to me personally who have been affected by this person. I'm so sorry. I was just trying to tell my story so that we could get some people to even just believe us.
Now, the next person that...
Okay, just to get into the last bit of what he said, I do feel for him when he said that this is not the first time that someone has insinuated or threatened self-harm to get him to continue talking to them. I've actually had someone do that to me as well, and it's extremely stressful, it's not fair, it's manipulative, and it just puts so much pressure on someone that doesn't deserve it. I'm hesitant to side with anyone in this just because there is always two sides to every story. We never really know the full truth. And I do think that when he first reacted to her on his stream, which was in my last video, him saying, "Oh, this girl looks like Amber Heard," and like just defending himself by saying, "It's a kink, bro, it's a kink." Like, if you knew that you had all this proof, I don't know why you wouldn't just either address it with that, not address it, whatever, or just say like there's more to every story. But the way he reacted to it initially definitely didn't sit right with me. But again, like he said, he reacted to things really stupid just on purpose, which was dumb, but I don't know, there's not much more I can say about that. But to me, honestly, these like interpersonal issues. It's very like sidebar to the main issues. These other ones, it's always gonna be he said, she said. I don't think we're ever gonna know the full story. We'll keep watching because he is gonna address the other one. But I feel like to spend so much time on that and not really on the other stuff is interesting. I feel like this probably could have been less of the video, but I get why he wants to show his proof. So I don't know, I'm on the fence about it. Let me know what you think down below though.
Was brought to light was Claudia, a girl that I dated back in 2019. I believe it was from March to November. I was 18 years old. She was 18 years old. And we had a toxic relationship. Here's a video of her. This isn't her account, but somebody reposted it. If you wanted the full context on that. In the video, she says things like, I had to watch my emotional abuser succeed on TikTok. She implies that her story needs to be heard and that I'm a horrible person and this needs to be brought to light. As an 18-year-old, I was a fucking idiot. I was very insecure, very emotionally unstable. Dealing with undiagnosed mental health issues, dealing with trauma, dealing with at-home issues, as well as school and that type of stuff, which is ironic because Claudia actually brought that up and said that I used her for her being mentally ill, her having trauma, and her dealing with a unstable home life, which is exactly what I was going through. I'm not going to disclose what I've been diagnosed with. I don't believe being mentally ill is an excuse for bad behavior. An 18-year-old me was 100% a shithead. The thing that Claudia tried to push was the narrative that I was abusive emotionally and mentally. We were in a toxic relationship. There's really nothing more to that. To back her argument, she brought up that I called her on no-caller ID, fake numbers. I was constantly messaging her after we broke up, which... here is proof of her doing that exact thing that she was accusing me of, which of course she did not bring up in her video. I have screenshots of what she would do months later. These are screenshots from WhatsApp after I blocked her, of her trying to get in contact with me. In this one she says, just tell me you moved on or something because like, why? Please talk to me, please. He or she isn't half of me. If you respond, I'll tattoo your initials on me. LMAO, I'm serious. And then 8 minutes later, fuck you, Kevin. This is the type of shit I had to deal with. Months following the initial breakup, Claudia would contact me through numerous other routes, like making fake Instagram profiles. She would watch my TikTok live streams under different accounts. She told me that she had a cocaine addiction and that it was my fault. There was one day in particular where she made this fake Snapchat under the name of Steve Perry. And in the Snapchat messages, she admits to self-harming because I'm not speaking to her. To which I had her admit that that was her, and I screenshotted for proof on my end so that she cannot change anything or make up any stories. Then I called 911 for her safety because I was worried. Like I said with the Tepuki thing, this isn't my first rodeo with somebody trying to manipulate me into talking to them by using self-harm. Claudia did that. I immediately called the police and sent them to her address and said, hey, my ex-girlfriend is telling me she's self-harming and I'm worried about her. Can you please check on her? And here's the video of that. Yo, I just fucking called 911 on my ex because she added me on Snapchat again, on this Snapchat, and she by the name of Steve, and I wasn't answering. I wasn't answering. I was just reading her. I was leaving her an open, and then she said, oh, nobody loves me or something, and no wonder why I'm fucking cutting myself. And and because the name was Steve, I had to have her admit what her name was. I was like, what's your name? And she was like, Kevin, you know who it is, you know who it is. And I was like, just say your name. Like, I don't know who you are. And she said Claudia, and I screenshotted everything, and I called 911, and I sent them to her house and told them that she was suicidal. So, following the police storming in her house and checking her wrists to make sure she wasn't self-harming, the first thing she did was make a TikTok about it, just to show the type of person we're talking about here. Every now and then I would go to Claudia's account and I would try to grab screenshots of her bashing me one way or another because I knew that she would eventually try to come out and say a story. When Claudia and I dated, I was definitely a scum of a person, but I was not abusive. Claudia and I definitely had screaming matches where we would shout and say the worst things to each other. Again, toxic relationship. I was definitely not the greatest boyfriend. Because I was outrageously insecure. I would say things like, "Oh, don't wear a top. That's see-through. I don't want you hanging out with certain friends." I was definitely this insecure little man at one point in my life. I know I was a shithead at 18 years old. I was many things as an 18-year-old. Abusive is not one of them. And I found this very ironic for Claudia to feel justified enough to come out with a story, given that there was one night in particular where we both drank alcohol and she would not stop grabbing me and trying to force me to have sex with her. I fully admit that I would have kept this private if had this situation not come out. But this woman was being super aggressive to me. We both stole like a few White Claws from my refrigerator and ran into the room and drank it. And I was putting on music, dancing, and she got super aroused and wanted to have sex, to which I kept pushing her off and I kept moving to the other side of the room. I got so uncomfortable to the point where at one point I even laid flat on the ground because I could not get this woman away from me. When I went flat on the ground, she sat on top of me. She went up to me and sat on top of me, and I've felt so fucking uncomfortable. I've been sexually assaulted by a woman before. I will not come out and say these things. As somebody perceived as a man, it is not the easiest thing to admit, and I would have never came out with this. I don't want any sympathy from anybody. I'm okay. I felt like that was very necessary to bring up, given that this woman is claiming to be a victim in the dynamic that we had. So as I edit this video, I realized I forgot to mention that on numerous occasions, when I wasn't aroused and I didn't want to have sex, Claudia would try to guilt trip me into telling me that you're a guy, and I thought guys were always supposed to be horny, and you're supposed to be always aroused as a man. I thought that was important to add. I tried to bring it up to her that she did that to me and made me feel super uncomfortable, to which I got a... Oh. Anyways, changing the subject. Didn't care, didn't acknowledge it, and I never brought it up again. Claudia also had a best friend at the time of us dating that was 15 years old. Claudia was 18 years old, which, I mean, you can say whatever you want, have your opinions on it, but our big red flag to me was when Claudia told me that she had planned on having a threesome with a TikTok famous guy who had about 12K or something. I don't know him. I don't know his name. I couldn't tell you. I think he was like 19 years old. Claudia was 18, and her best friend was 15 years old. So this is a 19 and 18 and a 15-year-old having sex. They didn't do it, but she told me that she was planning on doing it and saw no problem with this happening. Another thing that she brought up was a screenshot of me calling her the T slur, which is a transphobic slur. I take full accountability for saying that. I did not make a habit of saying this. You know, I think stupid 18-year-old Kevin just thought it would be funny to throw that word out very loosely. And at the time, I don't think it was considered as a slur how it is now. Another thing I want to talk about is me saying I'm gay, saying I'm not gay.
Okay, we're gonna pause there before he gets into the rest of it, just to address this really quickly. Again, much like the last one, there's always gonna be two sides to every story, so I don't have the most to say about this, just because, yes, he did show some proof, as did she. He didn't really address the main issues of what Claudia's problem was with his content, which was that he was like wearing her clothes in a blonde wig, and she felt scared because it felt like he was trying to dress up as her in the domestic abuse videos he made on TikTok. He said that he would try to control what she wore and like who she hung out with, stuff like that, because he was just like toxic and insecure, which he'll call the women controlling or say that they were controlling and manipulative, but he won't admit how that's controlling. He just said that he wasn't abusive, but that he was kind of scummy, but he doesn't call it controlling the way he calls it controlling when they do different things. Said he was super uncomfortable when they were drinking, that he's been SA'd before, and that as a man he doesn't feel like it's that easy to come out with, which I totally feel for him with that, just because unfortunately that is an issue that a lot of men face where they can't talk about it because it's not taken seriously in the same way. And then he said something about Claudia supposedly suggesting that she was gonna have a threesome with herself, a 19-year-old, and then her best friend who was 15. Obviously that's not a great situation, but there's no proof of that, so I don't really know if that's true or not. We'll keep watching. Again, like I said, the interpersonal stuff, we really will never know both sides to that, so there's not a whole lot I can really say.
I've never dated a woman. That's not me, right? Again, from earlier. I am not going to come forward with my sexuality. I do whatever I like. I date who I want to date. I don't do labels. I'm kept sexual. Again, well, and that's what I tell everyone. I tell everybody that I'm kept sexual just to give them an answer, because everybody wants to put a label on you. So kept sexual is my answer to that. For the most recent girl to come forward,
sexuality is completely his business, but I do find it interesting how he did use it when he was trying to say that that's not him, to say that he's gay and whatever, and then he almost, a lot of people commented this on my last video, in his live stream when he said he was gay, he started speaking and acting differently, and then he would like go back to normal. So I don't know if that was like his idea of how a gay person would talk and act. I don't feel like anyone's entitled to know his sexuality, but I do feel like he is the one who put it out there to try to avoid accountability or responsibility for his actions.
Tanaya. Tanaya messaged me, Tanaya added me on Snapchat early November, which was a month ago. And she immediately was like, hey, I think you're super cute. I'm going to be in Manhattan on New Year's Eve. Me and my friend are renting a hotel. Would you like to come? And this was off the jump. We did not, I think all I said was hi. Throughout these 2 weeks, she would tell me stories, I would tell her stories, we would flirt. She would send me pictures, and we planned on meeting in person on my birthday, which was sooner than the day she was going to be in Manhattan. Tanaya and I would relate on mental health issues. We would talk about each other's trauma. One night we were speaking about kinks, and I'm not sure who brought it up first, but one of us brought up that we enjoyed that kink that's being thrown around. She was 100% down for it. She told me she was into this, and that she had a history of participating in this kink in the past. To which we agreed upon receiving a necklace with a vial and hair as the band of the necklace. In Tanaya's video, she claims I begged her, and I don't want to invalidate any of these women. I don't want to take away from their experience. But if something didn't happen, I'm going to say it didn't happen. I did not beg this girl. Another thing that Tanaya said was that when we meet, I told her I would purchase her alcohol. Given my history of being uncomfortable around people who are drunk, this doesn't make sense. Why I would buy her alcohol. She's not of legal drinking age. And she actually even said that I told her I was 20 instead of 21. Which would imply that I couldn't even purchase alcohol. She could have meant that I would have bought her alcohol on the day of my birthday, but again, given that I get super uncomfortable around people who are intoxicated, it doesn't add up. Tanaya has a criminal record for, I believe, fighting people and having like a temper. I don't remember exactly what she was arrested for, but she was arrested for something along those lines. So it became apparent to me pretty quickly that she had a very fragile temper. Tanaya would also talk about how she had a gun and was offering to bring the gun to the hotel room that we were going to meet at so that we can take pictures with her gun, whatever that means. Again, makes me super uncomfortable. I don't know I'm not the type of person to take photo shoots with pistols. It's not for me. If it's for her or you, that is fine, but not my cup of tea. Let's get into the meat of the situation with Tanaya. I don't remember exactly what she said in her video, but she implied that she was cutting herself for me. So, as I said earlier, we planned on meeting each other in person around or on my birthday. When my birthday came around, she told me that her and her friend, which was supposed to be her ride to where I live, got into an altercation and they do not speak anymore, which is perfect timing right before we were going to hang out. So I immediately got the vibe that this girl isn't serious about meeting, and I think she's just pulling my leg because I have a following. So I started to distance myself from Tanaya. I started to not call her on Snapchat for a couple of days, not text as frequently. A few days go by and she randomly snaps me a picture of her arm. Just immediately said, Tanaya, what happened? Why'd you do that? And she replied with, it's for you. To which I called her on Snapchat to make sure she was all right, and she was having to make sure she to check if she was having a mental breakdown. She answered, and I said, Tanaya, essentially repeating what I said over text. I said, Tanaya, why did you do that? And she said, it's for you. And I said, Tanaya, I never asked you to do that to yourself. Why did you do that? To which she eventually came forward and said, I relapsed for anniversary, and it was 3 years ago or a few years ago, and I wanted to, essentially, she told me she wanted to hit 2 birds in 1 stone and take care of that while she was I knew the second that this happened that she would attempt to put the entire blame of her self-harm onto me because of my kink and my interest. So I blocked her. Here's screenshots of her last message to me over Discord and Instagram. And here's her messaging me after, a few days after everything happened, and her still hitting me up, flirting with me. Here's her still reaching out, flirting with me, swiping up on my stories. And then when the whole thing with Tepuki came out, Tanaya started to build this anger, essentially hyping herself up in our DM messages on Instagram to come out with a story. The thing with these allegations, they were all consenting adults, and they all in one way or another tried to use the knowledge of my kink to their advantage to try to manipulate me into staying. Which sucks, but it is what it is.
So I spent all day editing this video. It's now 4 a.m. The next day. As I was editing the video, there are a few things I forgot to address. There was one allegation about Tanaya specifically, that she claimed that we spoke when she was 16 years old, turning 17. For this to be the case, we would have needed to speak in 2020, early 2020, because her birthday is June or July. I have the picture of her Snapchat showing her birth month. Now, I would have been 19 years old at the time. Did I think it was okay to speak to minors at 19 years old? Absolutely not. I've been trying to sit here and rationalize how she would come up with that, especially given that we spoke last month in November, and throughout the time of us speaking, she has never mentioned to me that we had any prior interaction. If we were to speak years ago and we were to now come together and speak again, I'm sure that's something that's going to be brought up. Another thing. In early 2020, which is the date that Tanaya and I would have had to speak if she was 16 years old, I was new to making videos and content creation, so I definitely wasn't asking every single person their age when they were messaging me. Rest assured that if we spoke, it was just a simple interaction like, hi, how are you? Nothing inappropriate. I could say that with confidence because I do not distribute nudes. So the minor thing, again, not trying to invalidate any of these girls, but that simply did not happen. A couple of other things. It's been brought to my attention that Tanaya and her son were receiving death threats. I don't know from who, because that's disgusting. I did not make this video for the purpose of you guys to go and bash these women, let alone their families. I just wanted to speak my truth and clear my name. As we come to the end with Tanaya, there was another thing going around about her claiming I doxed her when I showed our Discord messages on stream. I'm going to pull up the stream so you can see it. So this stream is private for copyright reasons, but I'm able to view all my streams regardless if they're private for copyright reasons or not. And this is the stream where I supposedly doxed her. If we go and we look, coming to where I live, and she wanted to hang out, link up, do whatever. And we were speaking on via Snapchat video. Okay, so as you can see here, you can only see Tanaya's username. You actually can't see the numbers, the 4-digit numbers that you need to specify a Discord account to somebody. And as a matter of fact, this TT Crawford 04 was her previous Snapchat name. So this isn't a secret name. I don't see how this is a form of doxing. I can even skip towards the end. Maybe later on in the clip I did that. Nope, this is me reacting to her video and more of her video. I did not dox this woman. I believe that that's all regarding the current predicament. For the videos I've made in the past, again, I do not condone.
This one, I feel like there was a lot less proof than with his previous interaction, so there's even less for me to really say. He feels like, again, that she used his kink against him to try to get him to talk to her again. Now, I don't really know how that works because obviously, like, there was no consent if they're just sending him these pictures. It's kind of like unsolicited nudes. Like, you shouldn't just send people that without asking if they want to receive that. Just because he likes that or that's his kink doesn't necessarily mean he's open for it all the time. I've seen people in the comments saying, oh, it's funny how all these women are private now, but like, he had 3 million followers on TikTok, so it doesn't really matter if they were right or wrong. Just the publicity of the situation alone, or him speaking out against them or mocking them or whatever, would cause an influx of hate on their accounts. That's just how it is.
Feel shitty about them, but I grew as a person, and that's all we can do when we make a mistake. It's very important to have the full context of things before making a decision. If you decide to not support me after this, that is completely okay. If anybody from the black community decides to not support me or forgive me, that is okay. And same thing goes for the trans community or anybody that I have ever offended. You are all free to make your own decisions. You are all free to believe whatever story you want to believe. And if you continue to support me, thank you. I can definitely be an idiot sometimes. But one thing is that I will always own up to a mistake that I made and take accountability for it. I'm going to do my best to not let you guys down. Thanks for watching. Hopefully that gave you a bit more context to form a better opinion on the situation. I needed my side of the story to be heard. Because so many people are making assumptions about me. So yeah, thanks for watching, and have the day you deserve.
So those are his final thoughts. My main opinion, I guess, takeaway from this, I do feel for him, and I feel for him as well because, like he said, when a man goes through something like that or is assaulted, a lot of the time it is harder to come forward. That's that on that. But with everything else, now again, this might be me being too harsh, but I think my opinion overall is I feel like he gave too much attention to some things and not enough to the stuff that I feel like the general public has an issue with. I feel like most people were upset with him or canceling him because of the domestic violence videos, the jokes he made against black women, the jokes and his use of slurs against trans people, all of that stuff. And he said, you know, if you decide to forgive me, that's great. If you don't, like, you're able to make that decision, which I feel like people always say in their apologies, and that kind of goes without saying though. Like, obviously everyone's okay to make their own decision. They don't need your permission for that. But he never really apologized. Like, he didn't say sorry to the woman. He didn't say sorry for the jokes he made. I feel like his comment on the main issue has just been, it was a couple of years back, so my humor is different now. But from what we saw of all the streams of him reacting to people being upset, that's not necessarily the case. So I don't know. I mean, I don't really forgive or not forgive him only because most of the jokes that were made really have no implication on me, so it's not my place. To be honest, his content wouldn't have really been for me to begin with, and now after all of this, I still don't feel like his content is really for me, and that's not really about him. It's more so just I'm not interested in that type of content. Really, it kind of fell flat a little bit for me. But like he said, all he can do is learn, and I think that all he can do at this point is show that he's not gonna do that anymore. And hopefully he did learn that if people are upset with him for something else in the future, hopefully he learned that the way to handle it is not by lying and trolling and saying it's not him and mocking people. Let me know what you think of that down below, because I don't really know how to feel. With that being said, I am going to head out, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.